Hi there, I'm Tom Hansen in New York. We're following some breaking news right now. An Iraqi national has been arrested and charged with planning to carry out terror attacks here in the United States. One of the targets was allegedly a prominent synagogue in New York City. And you can see some images on your screen right there. The man we are talking about here who's facing these allegations is the one in the white scarf. There he is with Soleimani, one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful military commander in Iran for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, who died a couple years ago. I want to bring in CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit Senior Coordinating Producer Anna Schecter. She joins us on the phone. Anna, thank you for coming on. No one better to talk to about this. So get us up to speed here. What more are we learning about this arrest and how officials tracked him down?
Well, this is an individual tied to a group that is linked to more than a dozen attacks all throughout Europe, targeting Jewish sites and Israeli sites. And British intelligence, I'm told, they were worried about the attacks expanding beyond Europe. And they were concerned about an attack carried out on U.S. soil. And they were able to record plans of attacking a prominent synagogue, as you mentioned, in Manhattan. And they have arrested him overseas, extradited him, and he's facing charges here in New York. He appeared in court a little bit ago, and he's facing multiple counts of material support to a foreign terror organization and plan to bomb a public space. So you see those photos, just his proximity to the former leader, the now dead leader of the IRGC. My sources tell me he was involved in both propaganda and plotting to carry out attacks. So this was a very senior person in this plot. This is not just, some guys talking about it on Telegram like we've seen some other cases. This was a very serious, credible threat. And U.S. law enforcement took action, and he is facing these charges in the Southern District of New York.
Just incredibly disturbing there. As you mentioned, a successful terrorist, essentially, someone who had successfully carried out and orchestrated a wave of terrorist attacks in 2026 all across Europe. Anna, I want to go to how officials were able to actually expose this man. So what can you tell us about the clues that led officials and authorities to track this man and actually get him into custody?
This was the Joint Terrorism Task Force working with their partners, including an MI5, MI6, and they were able to infiltrate this individual's communications, electronic communications. So that's Telegram, that's messages on Snapchat, and even phone calls, and they were able to pinpoint and bring this indictment with an incredible amount of detail. So it took a long time. This is not something that just came together overnight. This is months of work. And what's really alarming is that some of these attacks carried out, like the one in Germany, there were attacks on a bank in Amsterdam just a couple of months ago. So this is very real, and these were, it was almost like a domino effect of these attacks, and they wanted to stop it before it came on U.S. soil.
Anna Schecter reporting for us on this breaking news. Anna, stick around. We're probably going to come back to you. For now, I want to bring in CBS News Department of Justice reporter Jake Rosen. He joins us now from Washington. So, Jake, good to have you on. What can you tell us on the DOJ side of this? Who is this suspect, and how many attacks are they believed to have participated in?
Well, about 18 attacks over a number of years that we've been looking at in this indictment. He's accused of either contributing to the plotting and planning of or being directly involved in. His name is Mohammad, Baqer, Saad, Dawood, Al-Saadi, and he was involved in ongoing potential threats against not just the synagogue in New York that Anna just mentioned, but also potential other synagogues across the country. There are at least 2 named in this indictment in other states. We also know that there's a complicating factor here, which is the war in Iran, and at least kind of the sense of motive that you get from some Arabic messages that are translated in this federal complaint that was filed today in the Southern District of New York shows that part of the motivation in this case to continue these attacks and to plot them and plan them in Europe, of which he's also accused, though not charged on, is to stop the war in Iran by the United States. At one point, at least one message directly that he had allegedly sent prominently features President Trump and saying that basically that they want this war to end. And part of the pressure campaign is by working through this Iraqi-based militia that he is allegedly a part of and a commander in. It works very closely with the Iranian National Guard and Revolutionary Guard, I should say. And we also know that the FBI was directly involved, as Anna said, in plotting out his next steps and getting involved to intercede on allegedly on April 3rd. We should point out he was introduced over the phone to an FBI source who was working undercover, and Al-Saadi texted the agent, who again was working undercover, a photograph and a precise map of this prominent synagogue in New York. There were also 2 other maps of Jewish institutions that were shared, and they agreed on a price with an initial payment of $3,000 cash to start to work through the logistics of planning out this attack, of which it was obviously quashed. Certainly just a striking and deeply investigated federal complaint today. We'll see what the next steps in court are. As Anna said, he was expected to appear in federal court today. It's not clear quite yet if that's actually happened yet.
One of the things that we're seeing, Jake, is that on March 7th, he allegedly posted a shadow soldier's message that the FBI claims was intended to activate terrorist cells around the world to engage in attacks in support of the IRGC and its proxies. What more is the DOJ telling you about any ongoing threat here in the United States? Because this seems like this could have been a really bad situation. 3 major targets in Scottsdale, Los Angeles, and here in New York City. Fortunately thwarted. But are they telling you anything about the security concerns that perhaps could still exist?
Well, one of the major concerns that we heard on Capitol Hill this week, actually, from the FBI director was senators pushing Kash Patel, the FBI director, on why there had not been some kind of joint terror bulletin put out not just by strictly the Department of Justice and FBI, but across all of the government. Typically, after events like what we've been seeing in Iran over the last couple of months, there would be a comprehensive threat assessment that is given out. And Kash Patel did not have an explicitly clear answer of why that had not happened yet. He said the FBI had done their part in informing local law enforcement agencies in states and localities around the country about threats to keep an eye on. But as we know, that the nexus in the landscape is exactly what Al-Saadi, the man who's accused in this case of doing, is and working through, is really what is at the center of all of this, which is to create these attacks, to propagate images online about them, to either tell others to complete or replicate them, and then to kind of start a chain reaction. That's what's alleged in some of these, saying that there's no problem starting a fire in some of these synagogues, to replicate specifics and taking photos of them. And again, to post that all online. There's basically online advertisements saying, you know, you have 72 hours to join these missions and you should sign up wherever you live. That is what law enforcement has told us that they're afraid of. We've heard it from Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel. Obviously, a good reminder that the work of law enforcement at a federal and local level continues to bring someone and extradite them into the United States to face charges after clearly it's clear that there was not an ability to indict him in any other country up until this point. Certainly a kind of a striking reminder, however, that this man has been accused of plotting or being involved in 18 other terror attacks and was plotting at least 3 other here in the United States.
All right, Jake Rosen, and just thank you for that. And just to get people back up to speed and recap what we're reporting on right now, federal prosecutors accuse an Iraqi national, Mohammad, Baqer, Saad, Dawood, Al-Saadi, of planning terror attacks here in the United States. Of course, we're going to bring you any new developments on this terror arrest as we get them. And now we're tracking more breaking news. A State Department spokesperson announced moments ago that the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon has been extended by 45 days. Future negotiations are tentatively set for June 2nd and 3rd. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching CBS News 24/7.